Hello there and welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome to my channel. My name's Kinsey. Today we are going to be turning this giant blank black canvas into an actual painting. The easel that I use is a travel easel. It folds up into a suitcase. So it is a little bit wobbly, but I love it. I like to paint in my room. It helps me contain all of the mess, but it is a tight fit. Here is the sketch design that I'm planning to paint. And I'm going to start this off with chalk, just to try and get the feel of placement and dimensions and proportions. Mapping out your projects is incredibly important. It helps save you time, though I did end up altering this quite a few times because I'm very OCD and it just wasn't making me happy. You'll see. You can probably see why I chose to use chalk. The oil paint will cover it just fine, so it doesn't matter how much you smear it. I do end up completely covering her body in this process. I just wanted to make sure that as I was getting it onto the canvas that everything was looking proportionate. And that's a wrap for day one. There's Bella. Look how cute she is. Let's say hi, Bella. She's my queen spin ball python. Anyways, we're going to start off with just white oil paint for now. I really enjoy using this glass palette for all of my paints. It's incredibly convenient and the oil is just like butter on it. Let's start. So I'm gonna do most of this beginning process with just the white, and we are working in a negative style. So basically we're starting from the deepest shadows and we're pulling the highlights out so you can see the form. The way oil paint works is you want to kind of layer it. So start with the heavy highlight areas with just a little bit of paint, and as the paint wears off of the brush, it'll dry out a little bit and you'll use that bit to help you blend it down. If you work in small circular motions, it really helps to get all of the pigment off of the brush and onto your canvas. Now, I am spending a lot of time on this portion, but I do end up erasing a good amount of it because I just wasn't happy with how the proportions were lining up with the hand. It just didn't seem very natural. But you can see how I'm laying real heavy on the white and just slowly dragging out the pigments. Use your hand, or I'm using my hand for reference, because this is what I am painting, but don't ever be shy or discouraged about using any form of reference. It is very, very helpful, especially when it comes to painting realism. You want to spend a good portion of your time observing and studying what it is you're painting. The highlights go so very, very far. All of your dimension is highlights and shadows. I've also always been a big fan of starting with a black canvas. Almost every single one of my paintings, I will start off completely black and then just pull the highlights out. This piece is going to remain all black and white, and I absolutely love playing with this type of gradation. Trying to fill in the fingers that aren't going to be here for much longer. Oh my gosh. And that's how it looks for right now. We're down with day 2. And back at it again. Again, starting off with strong highlights and slowly blending them out. When creating realism, there are no defined or distinctive lines, so you do want to blur and blend everything into itself. If you sit here and look at your hand, there's not a single line drawn. You can just see everything by the shadows and highlights that your folds create. For this piece, I'm pretending that the light is coming from directly overhead, which is why all of the tips of the fingers towards the top of the canvas are where I'm choosing to highlight. But if you pay attention to light and study shadows, then you can tell that with an object, will have a little bit of an outline around it, even on the darker end. So definitely make sure that you add that. You don't want to lose it into the background. And here I am finally removing all of the fingers that are driving me nuts. Just, no. And this is one reason why I really love working in oil paints. You can come back to it continuously. You can wipe it off. It's just a lot more pleasant to work with, in my opinion, versus acrylic or watercolors. I'm going with a real light outline and highlights. So you can see how thick the paint is on the brush at first, and then I slowly will pull it down. It's also good to wipe your brush off on the palette or a nearby handkerchief, napkin, whatever it is you prefer. And pull the paint downwards. And then keep in mind that circle motion just to get the pigment onto the canvas. And the start of a new day. I've honestly forgotten how many days this has taken, and I'm still in the process of it as I'm doing this voiceover. Can you keep track of how many wardrobe changes I've had? Like, how many times am I wearing a different shirt? Same thing as before, we are just going to layer on all of our highlights. You guys are lucky and get to watch this in 10 times the speed. But trust me, this is a lot slower process now. Remember when I said that I was going to cover her up? Yeah, I'm gonna cover her up now. I was having a difficult time trying to figure out if the proportions were right because she was right there in my way. So that is why we covered her up. I'm still debating adding her back in, if not repositioning her in a different way on the hand. I have now become very indecisive with that. Even though we are a couple days into this process already, we are finally going to add black paint into the mix. Pull these shadows back out. When blending, you want to make sure that you have just a little bit of black and then slowly mixing it into the white. It's my favorite part about oil paints, just the way that it blends into everything. And adding more shadows, more defining the fingers and the hands. Trying to perfect it. I really love the way that long, lengthy fingers look, so I want to try and thin them out. You can really see the shade taking form now that both white and black pigments are being mixed into it, because they have a broader range of grays to work with. So you really get to make everything pop. Just highlight, highlight, highlight. It's still very, very important. Remember, layer it thick on the highlighted areas and slowly blend it out as the oil paint leaves your brush. You can also use your fingers to help smooth it out so that you're not getting any residual pigment from the brush onto the part of the canvas that you don't want it to be on. It is becoming a more delicate process now because we have the base and the forms figured out for the most part. As you can see, that pinky and the palm is still a little horrible, so we will be fixing that soon, don't worry. But the fact that it is looking like a three-dimensional hand now is very exciting. Now, because I've altered it so much, I have to go back in and really lay down a solid base coat of black so that you don't have all of these random highlights that don't make any sense. It just really helps clean up the canvas. And no painting is finished unless you've taken the time to clean up your background. Highlight, highlight, highlights. You can see I got rid of that weird pinky. I will add a new pinky in soon. But here's the knuckle joints and how it connects from your fingers to your palm. Cheers to a new day and a poor wardrobe choice, honestly. Sorry. I'm adding the shadows in between the fingers to really separate them. Again, you don't want to have any distinct lines. You want all shadow and highlight work. Also, we should probably make it like a drinking game. Take a sip of coffee or a sip of water every single time you hear me say shadows and highlights. Look, more highlights. It's really fun to watch the process and have the image come to life. Slowly starting to add all of the wrinkles and definition to the skin. We are still missing a pinky, so let's go ahead and throw one on now. Keep in mind that the light source is coming in from the top of our image. There's little folds in your skin in between each joint. Really pay attention to how the light is reacting onto that part of your skin. And I know this part looks a little weird, don't mind it. It's weirding me out right now too, but it does get solved. Just give it a minute. Trust the process. It's not always pretty. It's very awkward and uncomfortable to look at until you fixed it. I know this footage is sped up in this video, but slow and steady really does win the race when it comes to oil painting. And remember to always step back from the painting. That way you can get it from a different perspective and make sure everything is still proportionate and looking correct. You can see Bella in the background sliding out a little bit. I'm really just trying to pull out this crevice in the skin. There's a lot of loose skin in between your thumb and your index finger, so it does create a few folds. If you look at them, there should be quite a lot. And if your skin is dry like mine, then, well, it kind of looks like a lizard. And the part we've all been waiting for, fixing the monstrosity part of this hand. And go in, layer on all the highlights, blend them out. This part is really important to remember that you need to be wiping off your brush as you go, or you're just going to carry all of this thick pigment on. And it was great to do for the beginning, but right now we are nearing the end. We are just getting into the definition, so you really don't want to keep smearing all this pigment off. And don't be like me and use your hand or clothes or body parts to get the paint off. Just have a towel nearby, because now I have paint on my pants that I can't get off. It looks like Bella is doing her own little snake charmer dance in the background. She's so funny to watch in 10 times speed. Oh my god. All of the crevices and folds of the skin are really starting to pop, and I'm getting so excited. I love how this hand is turning out, and I hope you guys do too. If you look closely, you can tell that I am using a very dulled down gray, so that it adds a lot of the smoothness to the hands. It's just a real finite touch, but it goes a long way. If you're not very comfortable with mixing your paints in gradations, I highly suggest that you just take a day to play with blending and different types of mediums. as well as sometime during the night, take your flashlight or something, put a ball or whatever object you want in the middle of the table, and take the flashlight and just kind of angle it all over and watch how the light and shadows react depending on where your light source is coming from. This technique has always been incredibly helpful for me, not only as an artist, painter, or sculptor, but as a photographer as well. The more definition that you can add to the painting, the more it's really going to pop. Just for funsies, I want you to go ahead and look at your hands and start at the larger knuckle on your finger and count how many lines you have for wrinkles on just one finger. When adding them into your painting, you do want to be real careful about which shading you choose. Like if you look at the thumb right now on the painting, it's way too dark. It's not blended in at all. And the darker the line, the darker the shadow, the more old and aged you are turning your skin. We need to remain mindful that shadows equal depth. The darker, the more deep. This is how I'm going to correct the issue. I have the black laid down and I've had it laid down for about a day now. So I'm going to take my highlights and I'm going to slowly blend it in, really lay down the highlights, and then I'm going to drag that down into the shadowed areas and just kind of buff it in. And like magic, it'll slowly disappear, but it won't be gone completely, and it will add the definition perfectly. You can really start to see how the highlights are adding a three-dimensional effect to the thumb. It's kind of rounding it off for you. so it doesn't look flat. This is a good time to remind you that it's perfectly acceptable and a great use to use your fingers. They're a great tool. They don't have much of the pigment build up onto them, so it's not going to add onto the canvas. I'm sorry, just don't wipe it on your clothes. You cannot get this off of your clothes. And when it's on your skin, it's going to be there all day until you hit yourself up with some Dawn dish soap or just some really nice thick grease removing soap. It's oil paint, it's greasy, and it gets on everything. So if you can, have a designated towel. I couldn't find mine during this process. Or have an apron. Aprons are amazing to sit there and wipe your brush off onto. I will be making an apron here soon out of canvas, and that will be a completely separate video. Definitely remember, it is absolutely okay to use your hands. Just don't spread the paint on your entire house. It will happen. I am still trying to decide if I want to add the female form, either the way I had it in the original sketch or shown here. It's kind of a new idea and I kind of like it a lot more, but for the sake of this video, I am going to end it here with just the hand. I am very proud of how it turned out, and thank you for joining me on this journey. If you would like to see this piece continued with the woman on top of the hand, let me know. If I don't do it to this one, I will most definitely do it with another one. We are definitely nearing the end of this project. I love how it's coming out. It's been well worth the process. Keep in mind this might just be a 30-minute video, but this took several days. So don't rush yourself. Give yourself time. Never ever rush yourself when it comes to learning. And if you have to, recreate it over and over and over again. I really like to work with shapes like spheres or triangles and pyramids so that I can really get an idea of how shading is working. So I want you guys to try those exercises where you just study light and shadow on a specific form. Maybe I will do a video about that to kind of give you guys an example of what I'm talking about. If you would like something like that, then definitely let me know in the comments below. And if you've had any questions at all about something that I did not go over, again, reach out to me. I will respond as quickly or as soon as I can. I do try to pay attention to that. I'm sorry if it takes me a while to respond to you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just being an insane artist and mom. So I will get back to you guys. if you would like to join our Patreon community. It would be great to have you there. It is freshly launched and we are planning some really fun things. Stay tuned for more information, but it is only $3 to start. We have multiple tiers, but I feel like the $3 one is going to be our most popular, and you do get access to all of the goodies. So I hope we'll see you there, and I hope we'll see you in the next video. And for the moment we've all been waiting for, here's the reveal. As always, thank you for watching. We appreciate you. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It really does help us out.